Welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's the author of the book Play Your Bigger Game. No other than Dr. Rick Tamlyn.
Hi, everybody. Hey, Daniel.
Welcome to Book 101, Dr. Rick. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Absolutely. I have been and continue to be in the leadership and personal development space for almost 40 years now. I'm just to be honest, I'm 66 years old. So in my 20s, I got involved in the personal growth industry, right? Life coaching. I like to call it myself. I hope people understand that sort of. I'm Tony Robbins adjacent. Some of you know Tony Robbins, right? So I'm not as famous as he is. I don't have as many books as he is, but I'm in that space, right? And I've been
Tony
doing corporate
Robbins.
training and leadership development now for 40 years. And out of all those conversations that I've led over 1,500 3-day workshops in my lifetime around the globe in, I think, 28 countries. So I feel very blessed with my career. Out of a lot of those conversations birthed the concept of play your bigger game. So the bigger game philosophy and methodology and ideology was birthed out of all the conversations I had with people.
Dr. Rick Tamlyn, thank you so much for giving Play Your Bigger Game to the world. So, what you define,
Mm,
also, how do you find the bigger game to someone hearing
yeah.
about for the first time?
Yeah. Well, first of all, just notice the power of the simple phrase, like who doesn't want to play a bigger game, right? It's a good marketing line,
True.
right? Right? Like nobody wants to go wrong and say, I want to play the same game or the boring game or the loser game, right? So everybody kind of gets the philosophy or gets the dream of it, right? But here's the bottom line. And I learned this when I was 17 years old and I was president of my youth group in my church in northern New Jersey. So we created a really big project that year that had never been done in our church before, right? So I was the president of the youth group. I said to my minister, we have to do something we've never done that's really big and it's outside of the realm of possibility. Like that would be crazy. And we made it up. And I won't go into the details too much, but we had this huge project and we raised a whole bunch of money and we became what do I want to say? We did something that was radical and new inside this church. This was 1970, just to put it in context, 1976. Okay. So it's
Yes.
a long, long time ago. Why I'm telling you this story is what that means. What a bigger game means is you decide to do something on this earth during your lifetime that's bigger than you know how to do. And you decide it. You're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to create this, right? In the United States, many, many years ago, we all know this story. Most of us do. We decided, and I'm not suggesting it's a good thing or a bad thing, but as a country, we decided to put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. That was the declaration of a bigger game. We did not know how to do it. We did not know how to do it. But we got busy and we got creative and we threw all kinds of creativity at it, because when you're up to something bigger than you know how to do, that's when you get engaged. That's when you get creative. That's when you get really alive. Think of it as a cause that's bigger than you, but you don't know how, because most people don't think like that. Most people think like, well, I'm only going to do what I know how to do. So I'm not going to go into the model too much, but there's an actual model. This is 9 squares. I'm not going to walk you through them, but these are 9 elements of what it means to play a bigger game, which is written up in the book. So it's a keynote, it's a workshop, it's a book, it's a philosophy. I've done train the trainer for people. So it's now actually being delivered as a workshop around the world. So I've created my own bigger game about getting the bigger game into the world. So that's a lot of words, but I hope that makes sense enough to all of you that are listening.
Makes sense, Dr. Rick. So, what are the core principles or
Yeah.
steps involved in playing your bigger game?
Well, there again, I don't want to. It'll take too much time right now, but there's 9 of them, right? There's 9 core principles to playing a bigger game, and all of you have heard this language. There's awareness of your comfort zones, the standard way of being and thinking in your life. You have to be conscious of them. You need allies to get it done. You need to invest in it, time and money and energy. You need to this is another square called sustainability. This is about designing the game, designing the movement that it could go on without you. Because if the game, if you pass, if I were to die yesterday, I want to make sure that the bigger game is sustainable. So I have people, I have trained the trainers, right? It has a quality that is going to go on without me. So that's just 3, 3 of the squares. This is a tic-tac-toe board, if you notice, right? And why it's a tic-tac-toe board is so it can feel like a game. And this is not a linear model. This is what I call a mosaic model. It has you can look into any one of these squares and it will give you information about what to do next.
So, Dr. Rick, can you share a personal story of
You bet.
someone who dramatically changed their life using the bigger game method?
Yes. I have a past client. She was with me for 3 years, and I'm not going to get too personal because I have some confidentiality agreements, but she was fascinated by conflict, humans in conflict. Okay. She
Okay.
was like, so in this model, she had a compelling purpose. Like, I want to help people through conflict better. Marriages, teams, organizations, the concept of conflict fascinated her. She's now a multi-million-dollar business all over the world, and she works with major corporations and major teams. I'm not going to give away some of her clients to do conflict resolution, and she's become a master, and she's writing a book on it. She's writing a second book on it, from what I understand, about how to dance with and how to figure out conflict. So that's an example of a bigger game. Now she's got a multi-million-dollar 7 business. She didn't do it for the money, but she also did it because it mattered to her. She came out of a situation in her life where she realized there was a lot of conflict in her life, and she said, I have to figure out how to help other people through conflict, because many times you will do a bigger game to heal something in yourself.
Very well said. Dr. Rick, very well said. So, how do you encourage readers to identify their bigger game is?
Well, here's the way to think about it. When you look out into your world, whether it's your family, your neighborhood, your community, your church organization, it's a very simple leadership question. What's the difference you want to make in those communities? If you don't want to make a difference in those communities, don't worry about it. It's not your bigger game, right? Because I have a family member, her bigger game is her family, right? So I won't go into the details, but she has a mission for our family. She's not just a mother. She's decided, this is what I want for our family. And she's actually sort of helping us sort of be together better. And again, I won't go into the details, but she's on a mission. So a bigger game is sort of like, when you look into your life, what's the difference you want to make with it? It's very straightforward. But not everybody has to. I want to be really clear. Not everybody has to play a bigger game. I have a lot of friends who are retired. All they want to do is play pickleball and go for walks. Fantastic. That's not a bigger game. They don't want to. So this is not a want to model. This is not a have to model. This is a want to. I want to have influence, and I want my thumbprint and my handprint on this planet while I'm here. That's a person who wants to play a bigger game. Now, in the book, I talk about how to find it, where to look. There's some exercises and things to activate that conversation.
So, Dr. Rick, what
Yeah.
role does risk taking play in
Yeah,
successfully playing your bigger game?
totally. If you're averse to risk, don't play a bigger game. I'll just be really honest. Because great success comes with great risk. We all know this.
True.
The greater the greater the game, the greater the risk. I mean, think about sports. basketball or soccer or anything, like the more you throw the basket, the riskier it is. And you all know the concept, by the way. You have to fail a million times,
True.
right? We get addicted to the success instead of like, okay, I learned from that. Learning from failure is the classic model, right? I mean, the largest company in the world was almost bankrupt. Steve Jobs, right? Almost went bankrupt, right? It was
Yes.
wildly successul. Then he was fired. And he went
Yes.
home and he sat and he cried in his house for 2 years. I've read the book. We've all read the book. If you haven't, it's a really great book. And then he said, I'm coming back. Watch me. The largest
Mm,
company in the world came back roaring. Now he played a bigger game. Here's the bigger game he played. He brought creativity to our hands. That's the name of his bigger game. He didn't bring technology to our hands. He brought creativity to our hands and to our computers and to our lives. Both watch it and create it.
true.
That's his bigger game.
Yes.
That
Highly
makes sense.
makes sense. Highly recommended, people. Steve Jobs by Walter
Yeah.
Isaacson.
Yeah. Really great
Wa-
book.
One of the
Very
best.
inspiring.
You will
And a
learn a
really,
lot.
really a real story of how messed up it is to be an entrepreneur. It's messy. It's
True.
really messy.
For sure. So, Dr. Rick, how do you address the fear of
Mm,
failure or rejection that arises when
mhm.
people step
Of
into a
course.
bigger role or goals?
Of course. It's a great question. You can't actually get rid of fear. You actually have to be more committed to the game than to being liked and being loved.
True.
We all want to be loved and we all want to be picked and we want everybody to buy my workshop. I want every buy my book, but you actually have to just keep throwing. This is what I'm all about. This is what I do. This is what I'm selling. I mean, how many people laughed at Steve Jobs when he decided to open up stores? Remember that when they opened up the
Yes.
store? He was
Yes.
he was like, "Are you kidding me? Nobody's going to go to a computer store." It was
True.
stupid. People were like, "That is the worst business model ever." Oh well, here we are. The Apple Store is
Watch
one of the
it.
most successful. It makes more money per square foot than any other store in the world. So
Yes.
the relationship, your relationship with fear is the game. You're never going to get over it, right? But it's willingness. Are you willing? Yeah, let me say it this way. What the one thing that cannot be taken away from all of us is our creative abilities. And we forget that. We try something, it doesn't work, and so we go into our shell and never mind that I lost. No, people who think about sports, right? That's why I picked the metaphor of game. They lost the game this year. Okay, fine. They're back on the court next year. Like, you want to think of your life as next, not over. One of the greatest workshops I ever went to, one of the simplest line, they said, you know what the best line to have a successful life is? The best word to lean into is next. Next. Isn't that ironic? That was Steve Jobs' company when he went
Next.
off on his
Yes.
own. Next, not done.
True.
Because creativity is birthed into every single one of us. Do we act on it is the question. Here you are, Daniel, doing a podcast on this amazing technology. You've risked yourself into the world. You're bringing people on. People are going to like us. They're not going to like us. They're going to watch you. They're going to unwatch you. You don't care. You care wildly. You're committed, but you can't control the outcome.
True.
All you can control is the commitment.
People don't care what people say about you. Just go what your
Correct.
passion, just like Steve
Correct.
Jobs. Now what, Steve Jobs? The late Steve Jobs, thank you so much for giving your creativity. So
Yep.
is playing your bigger game primarily about career success or personal fulfillment or both?
Both. 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 Bigger game has to be compelling for you. It's not a quick fix to make $1 million by Thursday. That's a different model. That's called become a millionaire by Thursday. I always tell people, like, go become a real estate agent. That's not a bigger game. That's a way to make a lot of money fast. Right? Right. Right. And they're
Yes.
like, oh yeah, okay. If you want to make a lot of money fast, there's ways to do that. Go buy crypto, whatever way you want to make money fast. But here's the thing. I'm older. I work with a lot of older people now. Money is not the game. It's like, we think it's going to save us from all our shit. It doesn't.
No, yes.
Money is just the vehicle to the lifestyle we want. Right? Because here's the
True.
thing. I have earned it and lost it about 6 times in my lifetime. I went through 2008, I almost lost my house, right? The crash, right?
Yes.
COVID, 99% of all my speaking gigs were lost in 20 minutes. Like I
Mm,
went from $100,000 booking of the first quarter to zero in 20 minutes.
because of COVID.
You just have to figure it out. You go, and then so here's what I did. I went to a TV studio because I
Hmm.
said, I'm going to a TV studio. And they're like, great, what a good idea. So
Yes.
creativity comes out of the anxiety.
Pivot.
It's called pivot. Exactly. I mean, pivot quick. Like if I sat at home and went, oh my God, my business is over, I can do that for about 10 minutes and then I got to get back in the game.
Yes, creativity, people. So, how important
Yep.
is having a support system when attempting to play your bigger game?
I love that you're asking the question. That's the square called allies. You can never do this alone. So I have a team of people. I have people on my staff. I have a social media person who reached out to you, Daniel. I have people. I can't possibly do it all.
Yes.
Now, if you're listening to this and like I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a solopreneur, be careful. You don't need to go hire all these people right away. But you have to talk to somebody. I would say a coach, a business coach, a life coach, a person who's sort of in the therapy space a little bit. You have to talk about the ups and downs of this because this is not a trustworthy, this conversation in my head by itself is not trustworthy. It just isn't. I'll talk myself out of it. I won't want to go to the gym. I won't want to do that podcast today. I'd rather not. I can talk myself out of it in a minute.
Hmm.
So commitment is the name of the game. Why am I doing this? What has me stay in this? I'm 66 years old. Everybody's like, why don't you retire? I go, because I'd be bored out of my mind. You know, my friends are like, you should retire and play pickleball. I'm like, I'd rather put nails in my eyes than play pickleball.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, Doctor, what would be your advice for those people out there who
Yeah.
want to play your bigger game?
Well, the first advice is, of course, little sales mode. Go buy the book. It's on Amazon. It's easy. Go download it. Still available. It's been around for a number of years now, but still selling pretty well. And then I'd also get on my email list. I do things that are in the lane and the vein of bigger game. I do free classes. I do events. Um, if you like this type of a conversation and you like this kind of a way of thinking, hang out with me. I do a lot of stuff. I do speaking
Yes,
gigs. I do workshops. So, you're going to probably put in the chat my link, ricktamlyn.com. And the bigger game, the book is on Amazon, right?
definitely.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Rick, what will be your short-term and long-term goals in writing?
Say that again. I
What
didn't.
will be your short-term and long-term goals in writing?
In writing.
Yes.
Oh, well, there's another book coming. So my short-term goal is book number 2. I have a release date in my head of January of 2027. So that's a long arc because I'm going to be really responsible on the marketing of it now. I was not as responsible with the marketing side. Here's my tip for all of you writing books. 30% on the book, 70% on marketing.
More.
Messaging more. Exactly. It
Yes.
should be 10-90.
True.
Right. So I'm already talking about my book into the world. People know there's a second book coming. I don't even have a title yet, but I have a lot of followers. And thank you, Daniel, for having this podcast. Hopefully to create more followers. The more followers, the more buyers, the more buyers, the more difference we make. Right. So that's the short-term goal is the second book. Your second question was the long-term goal with writing.
Yes.
Yeah. My long-term goal with writing is that I don't know if you figured it out, but I like to talk. So my book is the doorway into speaking. I love speaking more than writing. Right. So I don't know if you know, some of you are following her in our certainly she's all over the planet right now. Mel Robbins is wildly popular right now, right? This book called Let Them, and you should go get her, by the way, Daniel, if you can.
I will.
But I'm watching her in the speaking circuit, right? And she's everywhere. She's and I dream of that kind of level of impact from speaking. So that's the long-term goal. Because I think, by the way, business wise, two pillars to your business: writing and speaking. Writing and speaking. You need to do both.
Good luck to your goals, Dr. Rick, and looking forward for more and more and more empowering books like this to come. So,
Yeah.
have readers ever surprised you with how they interpret and apply your advice?
It's a good question. I've had people reach out to me and on social media, and I think the one that touched my heart the most. There's lots of stories that I could go down to, but the one that I remember correctly, it was a parent who their child, I think it was a son, struggling, sort of like, what the hell is my life about? The sort of 20 something angst, that angsty time in their 20s, like, what's my life
Yes.
about? And I remember this person sharing with me. I shared my book with my son, and he can't put it down. And it reframed his way of thinking about how to live his life, because he was thinking of his life as how to be retired, or how to have more money, how to not have to work at 30. And his parents were like, okay, that's bizarre, but okay, maybe that can happen for you. But it reframed how he decided he wanted to do his life. So that was somebody reached out personally and said, thank you for the shift in my son's consciousness about how to have a fulfilling life. And that was really a personal, touching story that I'll never forget.
So, Dr. Rick, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, Low 101, in each first season, people. First season with Dr. or Mr. Andy Samachuk. Please do listen to our latest episode. We are talking about the global visa of Mr. Donald Trump. So, please do listen, Low 101, wherever you listen your podcast. So, Dr. Rick, what daily habits or mindset shift
Hmm.
do you
Hmm.
recommend for maintaining momentum?
You bet. Um, Gratitude. Wake up in gratitude with what you're experiencing now, not always the gap of what you're not experiencing. Please notice what you're experiencing in your day. And if it's a challenging day, there might be hard moments to go, I can't find any gratitude in this moment. But the gratitude energy is the highest vibration in the universe. I'm going to get a little bit spiritual here for a second. Gratitude attracts, negativity detracts. We all know this, right? And
Yes,
so
certainly.
gratitude, be in gratitude as best as possible. There are days when it's really hard, like I'd rather not, I'm scared to death. But if you can remember, just experience, like, here I am sitting in my office with you, having a conversation with amazing technology, using microphones, and like, this is like, oh my God, this is my wildest dream come true, because when I was 20, none of this existed. So I'm one of those people that's like, look at this opportunity we have. And that's part two, is to look at your life as an opportunity. Like, look at everything as an opportunity. Right. And that's tough. Those are tough days when it's really hard. But if you can slow down, and that's the final tip, is remember to breathe. Remember to breathe. When we get too excited, we stop breathing, and we don't get enough oxygen to the brain. And the less oxygen to the brain activates the chemicals that are not good for us. You have to slow it down, be in gratitude. And then the final tip is reach out every single day and make a phone call to somebody that you care about, and just call them and say, I care about you. Do you need to talk? Every single day. Just build in 15 minutes your day and reach out to a friend or a family member and say, "Hi, I was thinking about you." It'll make you feel better every single day.
Dr. Rick Tamlyn, thank you so much for sharing your book to the world. So,
You're
can you
welcome.
please invite our listeners to support your book as well as your speaking engagement?
Yep. So really simply, it's a website, ricktamlyn.com, just like my name says, RickTamlyn.com. Go check it out. There's a freebie. If you scroll all the way down on my website, you'll find a link to a free chapter in the book to get it started. You'll also, by the way, get a link to the very first bigger game work. This is number 2 of the philosophy, but the first one I'm giving away free as a what's it called, a PDF. You can read it on your on your
Yeah,
iPad.
iPad? Okay.
Yep.
So,
So
people, let's support Dr. Rick Tamlyn, because if you support him more and more and more, books to come, more and more engagement of speaking to come. So, Dr. Rick, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel, so much. Thank you for the work you do in our world too.
More to come, people. See you soon.